Um, Hello, this is Pro History. And today we're going to be using this European royal family tree chart in order to, go over the English royal family tree. But instead of just doing from William the Conqueror to Queen Elizabeth, we're going to do it from all the way up from Alfred the Great. So let's get started. That previously mentioned Alfred the Great was part of the royal house of Wessex, which was the Kingdom of Wessex or West Saxony. And so he has a son, Edward the Elder, and then this guy, Ethelstan, he conquers all of England, becoming the first king of England. And so after that, it passes to this guy, and then Edmund, and then it's King Edwin, and then Edgar the Peaceful. Edgar has a son named Ethelred the Unready. However, he is not crowned. First, his brother Edward is crowned, but after he dies, it's Ethelred's turn. So Ethelred is briefly deposed by this guy, before he dies. And so over here, this guy, Sweyn Forkbeard, takes over the throne. He didn't rule for long before he died, and his son, Canute, took over. After him came, which one was it? I think it was, Harold Harefoot, and then Harthacnut. Harthacnut's mother was also the mother of this guy, Edward the Confessor, who was the son of Ethelred. And so when Harthacnut died without an heir, it went to Edward, known as Edward the Confessor. And he ruled from 1042 to 1066. But after that, it is said that on his deathbed, he named his son-in-law, or brother-in-law, Harold Godwinson, as his heir, but there's no real evidence to this. And so over here, William the Conqueror, he conquers England in order to seize Harold's throne. And so he rules as the first monarch of the House of Normandy. After that, it goes to his son William, and then William's brother Henry, who has a daughter named Matilda, who has a son named Henry II, or Henry I. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. There's only one Henry. Wait, I'm confused now. Sorry, guys. This is Henry II. He's going to be. But first, Stephen, over here, the grandson of William, gets the throne as the only monarch in the House of Bylos. And so after him, it goes to Henry II of the House of Plantagenet. Then from there, it goes to Richard I, King John, and then a lot of oldest son successions, so just brace yourselves. It goes from King John to Henry III, to Edward I, to Edward II, to Edward III. Something important is that Edward III claimed the throne of France because his mother was the daughter of Philip IV of France. And so he has a son named the Black Prince, who died before Edward did, and so it passed to his grandson, who became Richard II. However, he was deposed by his cousin at the Lancaster branch. Some people view the Lancasters as a different house, but this chart doesn't. So he is Henry the Fourth, King Henry the Fourth. It then goes Henry the Fifth, then Henry the Sixth, who is deposed by Edward the Fourth. He left the throne to his son, Edward the Fifth, and then after that, Edward the Fifth disappears, and that leaves his uncle as king. After Richard III, it goes to King Henry VI of the Tudor house, which ends England's longest reigning house, the Plantagenets. After him, it goes Henry VIII, and he had 3 children, Mary, Elizabeth, and Edward. Upon his death, Edward gets the crown as Edward VI. He names Lady Jane Grey as his successor, but she is dethroned by Mary, down here, who dies and has the crown passed to Elizabeth. Now, after Elizabeth dies, it goes to a Scottish king, and this is because up here, Edward III's great-granddaughter marries Scottish King James I, and then we can trace her down to him. And so he becomes the first monarch of the House of Stuart, which marks the union of the crowns. He is James VI and the First. James I of England, James VI of Scotland. After him, it goes Charles I, then Charles II, followed up by James II and the Seventh. After that, it goes Mary II, who had a joint rule with King William III/II, and then Queen Anne. Now, her closest Protestant successor was the great-grandson of James Dual Numbers. So he becomes George I, and this is when the Kingdom of Great Britain starts. And so after that, it goes George II, Prince Frederick, and then during the reign of King George III, it's called the United Kingdom instead. And so after him, both of his 2 eldest sons die, and before that, this son died, and so his daughter, Queen Victoria, gets to rule. She rules from 1837 to 1901, and then this is King Edward. This is another King Edward. I believe, let's see, I'm not good at keeping track of this, so last Edward was Edward VI, so this is Edward VII. And then comes the House of Windsor, the current ruling house. It goes George V, and then King Edward VIII. After that, his brother gets the crown as George VI, and he died in 1952, leaving the crown to Queen Elizabeth, the current Queen of England. And so from her, it'll continue to her son, Prince Charles, to his son, Prince William, to his son, Prince George. And that is a brief history of the royal family.